MegaHerzzz. You're listening to MegaHerzzz on 4ZZZ.
You are tuned into MegaHerzzz here on 4ZZZ 102.1 FM or on digital radio. My name is August. My pronouns are they, them.
My name is Charlotte. My pronouns are she, they.
And I'm Sarah, and my pronouns are they, them.
But yeah, we are here on MegaHerzzz today, and I would just like to quickly acknowledge the Yagara and Turrbal people as the sovereign owners of the unceded land on which we broadcast here at 4ZZZ. We just want to pay our respects to elders past, present, and future of the Yagara, Turrbal, Yagara, Yagurapal, and Quandamooka nations, and we stand in solidarity with all First Nations peoples in the fight for justice. And we have quite a packed show today. We have a lot to talk about. We're obviously going to do our segment on reporting on femicide that we make an effort to do every week, and there's also been a new report into misogyny amongst young people that we're really gonna unpack, because there's some quite worrying stuff in here as we will get into. But yeah, we have a little segment on femicide that we are going to go into, if you wanted to.
Yeah, so we are talking about femicide, and as we do each week. So if this is not for you, please do self-care and tune out just for the next 5 minutes. Also acknowledging that we do get our information primarily from Sherele Moody and from the Red Heart campaign, and so we do want to acknowledge that as well. So this week we are sad to announce the murder of Anne-Marie O'Reilly, who was murdered in her home at Ferntree Gully in Victoria on Friday. Her 45-year-old male partner has been charged with her murder. She was found by police critically injured and, after dropping off her children at school. She also had a 3-year-old son who was at home when the officers arrived. Efforts were made to save her life, but they were unable to revive her at the scene.
Devastating.
Yeah. Her brother says that she was the nicest woman you'd meet, the best mother to her kids, and may you get the best bed in heaven.
And it's really interesting to see that that a lot of key media outlets in Victoria did not run a story about this woman's femicide on any of their homepages, particularly in comparison to a lot of Irish media, because she was Irish. Multiple publications have reported on her death, and there was nothing in a lot of
I had a look. It was only like news.com and stuff. Like there wasn't any kind of major publications that were talking about it, which is upsetting. Definitely.
And
it's amazing and shocking and stunning to me that we so much talk at the moment about misogyny, and this report that's come out. We have the what's being labelled an incident, and if you can't hear my air quotes on the over the radio, but incident with football players, and all this stuff is getting media attention, but not actual femicides. It's just like it's not news. It's commonplace.
It's completely not taken as seriously as it should be. And we'd also want to acknowledge that like you said, there's been massive amounts of this sexual violence that has been in the news, but then when women die as a result of this, it's not considered newsworthy.
Just acknowledging those sexual violence of private school boys against girls in their cohort, and the Sydney Swans sanctioning players, and it's not been a great week in the news, I think.
It really has not. But yes, rest in peace to Anne-Marie O'Reilly. And we have some hotlines here for if you are being affected by domestic violence, or you know somebody who is, there is 1-800-RESPECT, which is 1-800-737-732. There's also DV Connect Women's Line, which is 1-800-811-811. DV Connect Men's Line, which is 1-800-600-636. And Men's Line Australia, and the phone number for that is 1300-789978. We are going to get into a new report that has been released talking about misogyny and its interconnections with extremism. So if you want to take that away.
So yeah, the new report is titled Misogyny, Online Radicalization and Youth Extremism in Australia, released by Sarah Meager. This report details the findings of a research project into misogyny and youth radicalisation in Australia. What the research has found is that many young Australians hold concerning attitudes towards women, violence against women, gender equality, and violent extremism. A big part of this research is also looking into whether misogyny and violence against women have predictors for violent extremism, so things like terrorism, mass shootings, mass violence, etc. This research is the first of its kind in Australia to provide a far-reaching picture of social and psychological measures amongst adolescents aged 13 to 17 years and to collect comparative data with Australian adults. So we're going to do a fairly high-level sharing of this information, but if you're interested, we really encourage you to go read the full report for free online, where you can get really detailed information on like the exact questions asked, other research in the field, all that kind of stuff. It's a really great report.
A 51-page.
A 51
Yes.
report, yes. So it is quite
hefty.
long. So, yeah, we're going to try and keep this a good balance of actually providing information and, yeah, not being too long. So the data collection is based on a survey of 1,122 young people aged between 13 and 17 of all ages, and of 2,307 adults of all genders, and this took place in October to November last year. The overarching key findings for the report are: number one, misogyny is a robust, cross-cutting predictor of violent extremism. Number two, violence against women attitudes are the dominant proximal predictor of extremism. Number three, online environments amplify but do not create extremist orientation. Number four, teachers are at the front line of dealing with these problems in real time. The researcher had a big series of questions to measure participants' attitudes across a range of different areas, including misogynistic attitudes, traditional gender roles, consent attitudes, anti-feminist attitudes, and extremist attitudes. They would basically get participants to respond to statements such as, a lot of society's problems are a result of children raised by single mothers, for example, and then getting the participants to rank how much they think this is true to gauge their level of attitude towards these statements. The results are they're both shocking and they're not shocking, in that it's really awful, the things that we found out, but also I think maybe people who are tuned into the current zeitgeist maybe are not, shocked to hear these things. Basically, they found that across the board, that young Australians measured higher on all indicators of misogynistic gender attitudes than older generations. So some of the new statistics that have come out from this report, which you might have seen on social media at some point. So these statistics include, across the cohort, a large minority of Australian men and boys believe that women use sexuality to manipulate men. So that's 38 to 39% of them. More Gen Z and millennial males agree that women bother me just by being around, and that a lot of society's problems are a result of children raised by single mothers. Gen Z males are approximately 4 times likely to agree that a husband is the head of the household and his wife should be obedient than are boomer males. Gen Z females were twice as likely as millennial females and 4 times as likely as Gen X females to agree that marriage entitles a husband to sexual intercourse with his wife. Over 30% of Gen Z males agree that gender equality measures have gone too far in Australia, while 28% agree that feminism is a hate movement. 23% of Gen Z males believe that feminism should be resisted with violence. So that's kind of going into some of that, violent extremism there.
A lot of this, to me, I kind of go, that checks. That checks. I can see where that's coming from. And then you get to some of those things like feminism should be resisted with violence. That is really shocking to me.
Saying the quiet part out loud. God.
And I think, this report is really interesting in that it does get into the no, misogyny is not just, obviously we know it's bad. But it's not just bad, it's actually a public safety threat.
Yeah.
For everyone.
Everyone, not just to women. And also the bit that shocked me when I was reading through this is the bit where like Gen Z and millennial females like throwing themselves under the bus.
But that makes sense. If you are a young woman who dates young men and those are the things that that makes sense.
You're taught.
You're like, well, I guess this is...
I don't know. That was just a really heartbreaking bit to me.
The one that got me there was, Gen Z females twice as likely as millennium... Oh my goodness, it's really hard to say. Yes. Gen Z females twice as likely as millennial females and 4 times as likely as Gen X females to agree that marriage entitles a husband to sexual intercourse with his wife. That one surprises me. I thought we were 100%. Over that. I thought that...
Well, it's been a crime since before all of them were born, basically, because Gen Z, I think I'm one of the older Gen Zs at 99, so I think 97 is like the oldest Gen Z. Marital rape has been illegal since before we were born. It's pretty crazy.
Oh my God.
They also found that online dating and pornography consumption of the online behaviour is most consistently linked with attitudes that normalise, minimise and excuse violence against women. So we were talking off mic, that's kind of interesting, like in comparison to things like video games, which I think is considered to be one of those, online behaviours that people think of as normalising it. That's not listed as one of the things. They also said that engagement with specific online environments is consistently and significantly associated with higher endorsement of violent extremist attitudes across every ideological formation examined. The researchers also observed comments posted online for preliminary findings of this research and found that about roughly 65% of the comments were hostile or dismissive of the research reported. With a lot of commenters rejecting the research findings, attacking the methodology, or mocking the research.
Well, that's nice that they're actually attacking the research and the methodology, because usually, when we see comment sections about this kind of thing, they don't like to actually engage with the topic and just get into those personal insults. Nice to see people engaging with the topic.
Not just
But to be fair, this report is actually so comprehensive. Like I was looking at the methodology and all this stuff. Like they've done so many different surveys, and they use that information as part of their part of their findings and all this stuff. And they even have a whole section that included surveying teachers, which I'll get into in a minute. But we all know that. I mean, it's like. Again, it's those things of yes, I have seen that, obviously. Like we talked a little bit ago about that Louis Theroux documentary on the manosphere and stuff like that. But I think, it's just, again, reinforcing that, it is so much more pervasive than I think we ever really thought. Yes. It is most boys are seeing this stuff. It's not just a few little freaky deaky guys. It's literally everyone.
Yep.
And in those stats as well, it was the bit that it was they're more likely than boomer males, which are that's crazy. I think I just, as a young person, have always assumed that it's yes, older people have old-fashioned thoughts and traditions, and as they get younger, we push out those traditions. But it's done a weird
this is I guess what I'm thinking there with the the marriage entitlement section that we. And so much with we often excuse bad behaviour. We excuse misogynistic views as old fashioned.
Yes.
We do. We often
grandma, you can't tell grandma because she doesn't know.
That's right. That's right. And the drunken uncle. At Christmas, and you just you just got to put up with that because you just can't teach old people.
But now it's your little 15-year-old brother, at the table. Agreeing with probably your uncle's defending women against your brother.
Oh my God.
Him, you can smack him down.
Absolutely. Obviously, I think I'm very clear. You need to have chats with the young men in your life and the young women in your life, because these things are really pervasive and really happening for everyone.
Yeah.
again, in this report, to complement the population survey data, the researchers also ran a second round of research with Australian teachers as individual kind of front-facing observers to these attitudes, because obviously they're in school around all these kids all the time. They found 4 key themes that emerged from this data specifically that included, so number 1, the manosphere pipeline. So across all 4 questions, the most consistent pattern is the presence of an identifiable pathway from manosphere online content to classroom behaviour. Number 2, female teachers as primary targets. The data makes clear that female teachers are disproportionately bearing the burden of student behaviour. There's a lot of stuff in the report, like from quotes from teachers, just sharing their experiences of, like young boys harassing them, being racist to them, like saying all these things. As I say, it says like name calling. This is a quote from the report that says name calling towards female staff and female students that are very sexist, i.e. washing machine, dishwasher, and other inappropriate names. Students will openly say, get back in the kitchen. Male students referring to female students as porn stars, like just really awful things. They're also, again, really relevant with that sexual violence from private school boys that kind of came out. I think it was 2 different incidents in the past couple of weeks. Clearly we're seeing, there's really identifiable outcomes of that data. Number 3 is the age of onset. So teachers are seeing manosphere ideology markers emerging in students as young as 10 to 11. This suggests that the problem is not confined to secondary schools, but present across the full range of Australian schooling. So again, I think a lot of these programs are targeted towards, high school boys, grade 11, grade 12, but we very clearly shows that this stuff needs to be in primary schools.
Yeah.
And then number 4 from the teacher bit is institutional inadequacy. So a recurring undercurrent across all 4 questions was a sense of institutional inadequacy. Schools and teachers are feeling ill-equipped, under-resourced, and insufficiently supported to respond to the scale and nature of problematic youth behaviours and attitudes they were observing. So taken together, all of these findings make a compelling empirical case that misogynistic attitudes permissive of violence against women, and attitudes hostile to gender equality occupy a central position within a broader constellation of extremist attitudes. Obviously, that's quite academic language. Basically, it's saying all of these things together lead to violent extremism, and that's that is a thing that data has found. I thought this bit was interesting as well, is that researchers also found that the gender attitude extremism relationship is not explained by ethnic or religious background. So even when it seems that ethnicity or religion forms the ideological basis for extremism, misogynistic attitudes and attitudes supportive of violence against women remain the strongest predictors of support for these forms of violent extremism.
It's really important that's been noted, because I feel like, I don't know, even amongst people who are around younger, my age, or when talking about these issues, sometimes that can come up as a thing, is that it's formed by religion or formed by culture, and it's no, it's not, it's an everyone problem. It's you can't use this as the one time that you care about misogyny, is when you can use it to get mad at people who aren't white,
racist or Islamophobic.
Exactly. And it's
so
really
they
important that they noted that.
Broke down all the people replying and all the stuff, and they found no correlation, which is very important.
I do think that is very interesting, because this is the first time that I have heard of any correlation between extremism and misogyny, and particularly extremist violence as well. And usually, you're right, you do hear it in the other direction. So these people are extremists, and they're extremely religious, and they're so of course they're misogynistic, because that's part of their religion. That is what is, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that's what is usually thrown around. So and that is the thought and attitude behind that. And I have never once heard that it's a predictor across, it's an equal predictor across all these things.
Well, in another part of the report, they obviously have all the background findings, as you do for a report, and they were saying that the majority of terrorist and mass violence attacks perpetrated by Australians in the last decade have had misogynistic precursors. So they say that the Lint Cafe terrorist had more than 40 sexual assault charges against him and an active intervention order for domestic violence, and was out on bail for murder and sexual assault charges for killing his former partner.
Oh my God.
Which I think people thought that was a religious one as well. The Christchurch Shooters Manifesto talked about fertility levels and birth rates and the need for brotherhood to restore a natural order. And then more recently, the Bondi Junction killer they say he was addicted to pornography and believed by many to be motivated to perpetrate mass violence by anger and frustration towards women. And they say this is also, this is majority of mass violence perpetrators in Western countries. The US has also, they said the US has led the US Secret Service to conclude that misogyny can play a central role in motivating an attacker to perpetrate mass violence, and that misogyny and domestic violence deserve increased attention from those tasked with mass violence prevention. All very interesting things that I think it really is cutting edge research, I think. We haven't heard these things before, I think, and it's really important stuff for governments to consider. They in the report at the end, they obviously have a big list of policy recommendations for things the government can do and invest in to address these issues that arise from the research and kind of work towards creating safer communities. They say that this data has significant implications for radicalization research and prevention, suggesting that interventions targeting gender-based prejudice may have downstream effects on susceptibility to a range of extremist ideologies. Again, just saying that if you want to stop violence against women, if you want to stop terrorism, all these things, the biggest things you can do is invest in these early prevention and intervention programs for gender equality, basically.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's what we were talking about before of there was kind of, I don't know, I feel in feminist spaces there's kind of and even in feminist academia there's an acknowledgement that these are all kind of connected, but it's really good to have something that is thoroughly researching specifically this and being no, this is clearly such a problem and has these direct impacts on broader public safety.
It's interesting that we generally consider attitudes towards women and misogynistic attitudes as a personal thing. It's a personal preference. It's each to their own, that kind of thing. And the number one policy recommendation is to recognise misogyny and anti-feminism as a form of violent extremism in national counter-extremism framework, which, I think it's quite a radical idea, actually, because of that is something that, it is considered a personal belief and we just let it slide. We totally let it slide.
For so long, there's been so many mass violence things across, the past, 20 years where that's been a clear factor. There was the Elliot Rodgers thing, that was 10 years ago or something. Even before that, there was that Canadian mass shooter who, killed all the female engineering students. There's been so much stuff that's, very clearly building up to this pile of evidence that just hasn't. But no one's done anything. Because I did a gender, peace and security class last year, and I think we read, one report that kind of talked basically very preliminary about this idea, and our teacher was this is one of the first kind of times we're starting to link these things together, and it's been so long, it's kind of crazy.
But if any of you listeners have the time, I would definitely recommend giving this report a read. We've just been able to give you a summary, but there's a lot of really interesting, really important stuff in here, and some of those statistics are so just they smack you in the face with it, oh my god.
If you're a data nerd, they've broken it all down so you can read through all the
and like we said, it is publicly available and through the Uni of Melbourne Faculty of Arts, I believe.
I think you can just search the name of the report. Called Misogyny, Online Radicalisation and Youth Extremism in Australia by Sarah Miga.
Very, very interesting.
I'd be really interested to see how many of the recommendations are actually taken up.
I was just thinking this, because I know there's mentions here of wanting to implement it into early risk assessment and early intervention frameworks, and as part of the counter-terrorism thing, and also particularly with you think of like the LNP being like hard on crime. Do you reckon? Or like,
do you care about
Oh, not
crime or
that
not?
crime.
Yeah. Oh, not that one.
Not that kind of crime.
Yeah.
Stealing cars, that's all we care about.
Yeah, exactly. If we can't get the satisfaction of locking children up, then why would we care?
Yeah, what do they call it? Implementing actions are like very tangible and very like laid out things for the government to do.
It's a really good report. They're very specific.
Yes.
They're actionable and could be put into place.
Yeah, definitely. We will have to see. Well, we are almost at the end of our show, but as per usual, we like to have a bit of a gig guide. We want to start with one that Fortitude Valley and MegaHerzz's very own Claire. She's not here today, and she won't be here for a while because she's off doing speech pathology placements.
Yeah, go Claire. Woo.
Go Claire. Go teach people how to speak good. I don't really know what else to do.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it.
Kind of seems
Maybe
like
come
the vibe.
back and tell
And
us
come
all
back.
about what speech pathologists
Yeah,
do.
from a feminist perspective.
Yeah.
I think there's got to be something there. But anyway, they host another show with Dane called Pale Interior, and they are putting on a show at season 3 in collaboration with Fortitude Valley on Thursday, August 27th, and that'll be at 7 p.m. with a lineup of Blind Girls, Hotchkiss, and Euroheart. So that'll be a bunch of fun. Get on down there for that. Also on that Thursday night, there is Zero Cap Stories at the Junk Bar, and they describe themselves as a night of true storytelling from Big Ange and Brisbane's most brilliant and ordinary. And we've got Fortitude Valley's own Jordan Royal taking the stage there.
Nice.
There's also Trina Massey.
We love Trina Massey.
Yeah, shout out to Trina. Bria from the Junk Bar. And also my friend Sham is here.
Yay.
Sham's going to be on the stage. Shout out to Sham. But yes, a bunch of other people as well. Jeremy Sankey from Special Features will be on the stage. So get on down there. Have a look. Have a gaze. It sounds like fun. And Betty Taylor have a show happening at the Black Bear Lodge on August 29th, which is this Saturday. And they're a really fun all-femme band from the Sunshine Coast. And yeah, I have a lot of love for them. I remember going to a cafe in Coolum somewhere and like seeing one of them there and being like, oh my god, it's from Betty Taylor. Wow, crazy. It was a fun time. But yeah, that's about all we have for our show today. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
So, yeah, bye.
Bye.
Isn't that what feminism is about?